This is, I guess, what you would call pre-game week. It's not game week. Next week is going to be game week, but I think as college football fans, we try to put any type of framework on any type of countdown to the season in some type of form that's going to make us feel better about the season almost being here. And when we look at a week from Saturday, we're looking at 10 days. So we're almost in single digits to Florida State football in 2022. We, of course, have Jason Parker here from NBC6. This is our Florida State live show that we present every Saturday at 6 o'clock Eastern time.
Or
Jason,
Wednesday. Or Wednesday at 6 o'clock Eastern time. So
what did I say?
You said Saturday. It's fine.
I think I was just noting that the game's on Saturday.
Absolutely,
and it
100%.
stuck in my head.
And let's be honest, after the last 5 seasons, we're always looking forward to the next season because that's where we are right now with Florida State football. But it's almost here, guys. We are almost literally at this point next week. We will be previewing an actual game. Think about it.
To your latest point, I was just on the Michigan show, and the Michigan host was letting us know, as I was saying, I'm jumping off to the Florida State show. He said, well, they've had a couple down seasons. And I said, well, a couple 5 down seasons.
Right. I mean, we did beat them the last time we played them in the Orange Bowl. They were supposed to come beat us, and we beat them. So don't really think Michigan talk smack to us. And they got beat.
I wasn't talking smack, just that they had a couple down seasons.
They can't win down
That's the
here.
truth.
That's actually funny. They can't win in the Orange Bowl. We beat them. Georgia beat them. Yeah, they can't win here.
They lost the 1975 Orange Bowl to Oklahoma.
Wow, you pulled that one out.
14-6.
Okay, and that's why you're
the Orange Bowl. Any other Orange Bowls from Michigan? No, I don't believe. Oh, they beat Alabama. Tom Brady beat Alabama in the Orange Bowl, 35-34 in overtime. So they can win the Orange Bowl in 1999. All right, Florida State. We are here to talk about Florida State.
We've done this show now for 3 years. Okay, I think we've become good friends over the last 3 years. That was the nerdiest moment you've ever had. The fact that you pulled out the 1975 Orange Bowl. I mean, you're the voice of college football for a reason. You are absolutely the voice of college football, but that was a little nerdy.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
I thought you were here for morale.
For the rest of the folks that watch me over there on the main channel, when I have to talk for 2 or 3 consecutive hours, they're used to that. Now, on this show, I kick back and I let you guys drive it because you guys are the Florida State experts.
Yes, we are.
Okay. We will see if 20 or 25 or 40 years from now, we'll be talking about Kenton Kirkland, which Logan lets me know that that's KJ Kirkland, I guess is what he goes by, as a recent commit for Florida State this week. 28th rated safety in the country. Number 51 in the state of Florida. Make that 61 at 6'1", 187, playing some safety there out of Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville Reigns High School product, secondary player to commit for the 2023 class. It's Florida State's now moved up to the 20th class. Obviously, they were slipping a little bit, but we've talked about it. You know, there was the moment where Florida State was slipping. Florida State lost a couple of recruits, and now they're starting to get some back. And like I said, they don't all have to be 5 stars. And let's just be honest. Over the last 5 seasons, Florida State's had some serious issues in the secondary position. I like his size. I like 6'1", 187. And just as Derwin James proved today, if you're a secondary player at Florida State, you're going to get paid at the next level. So KJ, welcome to the party, I guess. Also talked to a couple of recruits from down here. Lamont Green Jr. did an interview with him last Friday, Florida State commit. He said he would be in Tallahassee right now if possible. So he's coming. So I think Florida State's getting a solid group. I'll give Mike Norvell credit. He's putting together a class of committed Seminoles, and that's what you need. You need a group of guys who are going to come in here who are going to ignore what's taken place the last 5 seasons. I mean, you can't ignore that the last 5 seasons have not been up to the Florida State standard that we've talked about over the last 2 or 3 decades, but it is what it is, and that's where we're at right now. So,
all right. So that is the rundown for Florida State on the recruiting path, and we're looking at a 2023 class right now with 14 hard commits. It's the 21st rated class in the country. That's not quite up to standard, but that is within range to make a push with what you've discussed in recent weeks, a good early season result set of results on the field, they could push it ahead.
And we've talked about, like, down here in South Florida, a kid, Hakeem Williams, 5-star wide receiver from Fort Lauderdale Stranahan. If he comes in, that class is just going to catapult up. And there will be a couple guys that I think you will see before the end of the football season, before the December signing day, several flips. And I think it's going to depend on what Miami does. I think it's going to depend on what Florida does. But I think by December, you will see a couple flips to Florida State from those two classes.
Okay, there we go. 14 commits. It's usually turns out to be a class in the 22 to 23 range, so plenty of work to do for Mike Norvell and company.
That also was not my hot take. The hot take will come later in the show. Don't worry, fans. We did not blow our hot take in the first 6 minutes. Don't worry.
Absolutely not. We would not do that to everyone. First of all, we always have the smallest crowd in the first several minutes of the show, so we don't want people to miss Jason's hot take. Number two, we gotta have that build up, the big build up to the hot take. So
shout out to Logan. Shout out to Logan, by the way. Obviously not here for the second straight weekday show that we've done. I think he's pulling to me what I had work in December. But shout out to Logan. It is his birthday. He's made it to 25. Who would have thought he would have made it this far without any convictions? I mean, shout out to Logan, man. Shout out to Logan and all the stuff he's doing over in Noel Game Day. We appreciate it. Now, show back up here for next week.
Absolutely. I was trying to build Logan a banner here. Not that he's going to see it, but we've reached the end of our banner. I had to delete a banner to make one. There we go.
It is.
All right. Well, Florida State playing football before just about everybody else in the country. Of course, there are some week 0 games, including Nebraska Northwestern. That would be the most important one as a conference game. And Illinois is playing, Vanderbilt's playing. So a couple major conference teams, but very few. North Carolina, I think, has a game as well. But Florida State playing August 27th, week 0, getting that one tune-up game before LSU. Do you think that is a good move on behalf of Florida State's scheduling?
It's not a popular move. Florida State is going to be Florida State's easiest opponent since Texas State to start the 2015 season. But no, I think it's a very smart move. And I think you look at last season, and we all know how the first 4 games turned out. Florida State started off the year 0-4. I think if Florida State plays the way they did in that opening game, and let's say you're playing Jacksonville State in that opener instead of Notre Dame, I think things are different. I think that you start off the year with a win against Jacksonville State, and then, yeah, you play Notre Dame in the second game. You may lose that one, or who knows, you may end up winning that one. But I do like the move. I like the move. I think it gives them a little bit of confidence. Once again, not getting cocky because we're currently on a 1-game losing streak against FCS teams. But if we can come out and win that game, I think it gives you a little bit of confidence going into that LSU game that, let's be honest, yes, it's a neutral site, but it's going to be a road game. There's going to be a lot of Florida State fans there. I'll be one of them. But it's going to be a confidence booster to at least get that one win and get your first opening game win since 2016.
Logan has just informed both of us that he thought he was going to be able to make it, but he is still tied up with the family for today's birthday festivities.
I mean, I'm saying that I was here last year for my birthday show. That's all I'm saying, Logan.
You know, Jason, I rarely, if ever, I don't believe ever, have commented on your attire, but I do very much like the black look with the Florida State logo.
You know, I've realized that I try to wear all Florida State stuff, and I realized the last time I didn't, a certain word came out that I'm still apologizing for. So we're just going to go Florida State attire from now on, just to keep everything safe. We're not choosing violence today with the Biggie Small shirt, so you're welcome for that one.
It's a good look.
That's right.
All right. Also on the agenda, of course, for those of you that like to, for entertainment purposes only, keep updated on the point spreads of these games. That LSU, of course, playing practically a home game, is what, a 3-point favorite against FSU?
Yeah, 3-point favorite. And I mean, traditionally for those, once again, for entertainment purposes only, 3 points is usually what the home team's always going to get. So you're going to get 3 points literally just for being the quote-unquote home team. So with that being said, the argument comes there that this game is a push game, that they legitimately think that both Florida State and LSU are on the same level. I think that's interesting because you have an LSU team that played in the bowl game last season. You have an LSU team. Thank you, appreciate that, Whit one. I think you have a Florida State team that they're saying could compete with, a team from the vaunted SEC, a team that beat Florida last year, a team that, had their moments of looking decent last season. I think was better than their regular season record indicated. So I think there's a lot of confidence. I would not be surprised if Florida State can come up with a big win in the opening game against Duquesne. I wouldn't be surprised to see that line move closer to even, or there could be a chance that Florida State could end up coming into that game as a favorite, depending on what happens in that Duquesne game. So I think you're going to see a point where Florida State's going to want a win, but Florida State's going to want to send a message to LSU that it's going to be an interesting ballgame on September 4th in New Orleans.
It's certainly a marquee matchup if you just look at college football brands. Look at the brand names, not what these teams have brought to the field in recent years, because both of them are very much in transition.
And it's going to be an interesting weekend because you've got, for example, and we all know Mark is an Ohio State fan. Ohio State's playing, I know, shocking folks, but Ohio State's playing a Notre Dame team, top 5 matchup in the opener in Columbus. I think Ohio State wins that game, but I think Notre Dame's a good team. I think Notre Dame's going to give them a good ball game. You've got a game down here in the state of Florida, in Gainesville, where you've got a Utah team who's coming in, who won the Pac-12 last season, played Ohio State pretty well in the Rose Bowl, and they're coming in as a very slight favorite over a Florida team who was 6-7 last season and lost to UCF in their bowl game. I think Utah's not getting enough respect in that bowl game. So I think that there are some interesting matchups in this what's quote unquote week 1 of the season. But I think Florida State LSU is going to be an interesting game because I think you've got an LSU team that I think is coming in very confident, thinking we've got Brian Kelly, things are going to turn around and whatnot. And you've got a Florida State team who, if Florida State comes into that game and beats LSU in New Orleans, hostile crowd. Yes, there's going to be about 35,000 Florida State fans there, but it's going to be a mostly LSU fan base, mostly purple and yellow fan base there. And if Florida State can come out with a win, you're 2-0 going into the bye week, time to get rested after what's going to probably be a rough game against LSU. It's going to make the season very interesting. At that point, I'm not guaranteeing anything remotely regarding an Atlantic Division championship, but it makes things a lot more legitimate that Florida State could be an 8-win team or maybe even a little bit better.
I tend to think that 8-4 means that Mike Norvell keeps his job, and 5-7 means he's definitely out. The 6-6, 7-5 depends, to me. This is just a guess. I'm not in the administration making the decision, but this is an educated guess. That 6-6, 7-5 depends on the look of 6-6, 7-5. Are they competitive with Clemson and some other top teams on the schedule? How is recruiting going? Those sorts of things are going to impact 6-6, 7-5.
To get him to a 500 all-time record at Florida State, they have to go 9-4 or better. I think that's an extreme stretch. It could. 8-4 regular season, winning a bowl game, maybe. But I think he is safe at 7-5 because I think it's the progression. You went from 3-6 your first year to 5-7. That's a 2-game improvement. A 2-game improvement. I think 7-5 is the bare minimum for him to keep his job safe. I think 8-4 solidifies, hey, you're back for our 4th season. So I do agree though, but I think it's got to be if it's 7-5 and the losses are LSU, Clemson, Miami, NC State on the road, and let's say one stupid game, let's say a Louisville, for example, I don't think that's the end of the world. If it's 7-5, but the losses are Georgia Tech, Syracuse, Boston College, Miami and Clemson, I think that's where it could get a little dicey. So, like, for example, I picked them 8-4, but I have the losses being Clemson, NC State, which I think Florida State loses both those games just because I think Clemson's a better team, and I think we're never going to win in Raleigh ever again because we just can't win in Raleigh for some reason. And I think we do lose 2 stupid games, but I think it's getting better. It's beating Miami. It's beating Florida for the first time since 2017. I think those are the games that he needs to win to solidify his job.
After we reviewed the coaches' preseason poll, where Florida State received 1 vote, I did not notice whether there were any AP voters.
No.
None.
No,
Okay.
the writers realized no, that a 5-7 Florida State team should not be ranked. And once again, look, I am a devout Florida State alum. I am a season ticket holder. I'm a booster. Florida State should not be anywhere close to the rankings to start off the season. Florida State has not earned the right after 4 straight losing seasons, 5 straight disappointing seasons dating back to the last year under Chip Fisher. Florida State has not earned the right to be ranked to start off the season. Now, if Florida State enters the month of October with a 4-0 record, or even maybe a 3-1 record, then maybe the conversation's different. But until Florida State even starts off the year 2-0 for the first time since 2016, until that point happens, Florida State should not be anywhere close to the rankings.
Speaking of the rankings, Florida State's looking at 4 ranked teams preseason. That would be the date against Wake Forest, currently number 22, but without Sam Hartman. NC State's 13, Clemson 4, and then the Miami game,
right?
The first week of November. The Canes start the season in the AP top 25 at number 16. Now, I would say LSU, Louisville, Boston College in Florida are quality teams with the capability of finishing in the top 25.
And it's going to be interesting. I think we talk about the most important game on the schedule is the LSU game. And I've said that before. And it's not just because it's the first big game, but because it's the game that will solidify how the season's going to go. If you go out there, you win the game, you're 2-0, things are going to get better. If you go out there, lose a close game, but also you're still losing, it's going to be, here we go again. Florida State can't win the tough games. Here we go. Florida State's losing to teams that are on their level, because LSU is on our level record-wise and I would say talent-wise from where we are right now. The Wake Forest game, while LSU may be the biggest game, the Wake Forest game could be the wild card, because I think without Sam Hartman in the lineup, and once again, if it's something off the field, if it's something mental health issue, I don't want to make this about football. But realistically, if Sam Hartman doesn't play in that game, and let's say Florida State has a 3-1 record, Florida State has a 4-0 record. Let's say all things are going great, and Florida State somehow is 4-0 going into that Wake Forest game. Without Sam Hartman, I don't think Wake Forest beats a 4-0 Florida State team. I think Wake Forest is a good team. They're the reigning Atlantic Division champions. I don't want to take anything away from them. But I think if you're going to compare a Wake Forest team without their best player, their quarterback, and a Florida State team that's riding high at that point, I don't think that will go well for Wake Forest. And this is the other thing. And in the win, too, is making an excellent point here. Yes, after this season, you're done paying the buyout to Willie Taggart. And I think Mike Norvell knows that. I think it's been made very clear to him that coming up after this season, Florida State has a lot more money to play with. With that being said, if Florida State is also trying to get out of the ACC, and if Florida State can get a record that's good enough to make the Big Ten want a Florida State to go along with a Miami and a Notre Dame and whoever else, I think you don't want that buyout. You don't want to have to use that buyout money at that rate. You want to use that to buy out of the ACC. You don't want to use that to buy out your coach. But I think Mike Norvell knows that. I think Mike Norvell knows, hey, I can't go into that NC State game on October 8th with a 2-3 record or worse, because then it's going to get real bad real quick. If you go into NC State with a 2-3 record, playing NC State, Clemson, at NC State, Clemson at home, at Miami, and Florida alone in just those last 7 games, you're staring down the barrel of another season without bowl eligibility. So Mike knows this. Mike's not a dumb guy. I've been critical of Mike's performance as a coach on the field, but Mike is not a dumb guy. He knows what's ahead of him. He knows the position we're in. He knows what the loss against Florida meant. Yeah, we've talked about this now for 9 months. I feel like we're a broken record, but we've talked about this for the last 9 months. The key is at one step at a time. The key is beat Duquesne. Then we'll worry about LSU after that.
Yeah, well, In the Wind followed up the comment that you addressed by setting himself up to deliver the desire to get Mark Stoops or Dave Aranda.
I was a fan of Mark Stoops before. I was a fan of him as an assistant coach at Miami. I was not a fan of Miami, but I was a fan of him as an assistant coach. I thought that he was a great defensive coordinator. He's the reason that we had that amazing defense in the 2013 national title season. I mean, as critical as I am of Mike Norvell, as much as I don't think Mike Norvell has lived up to the bill of goods that was sold for him when he came in before the 2020 season, I also don't think it's a smart move to keep the revolving door of coaches. I don't think it was a smart idea to fire Willie Taggart after 21 games. I don't think it's a smart idea to fire Mike Norvell after 3 seasons, especially if we are a better team this season. If we're bowl eligible, if we can somehow finish the year regular season 8-4, I think you're fine. At 7-5, I'm even fine. At 6-6, I'm happy we're bowl eligible. But I think the question comes up, are we really better? Are we better than we were before? I think this is an 8-win. This team has 8-win talent. They have to have an 8-win mentality. That's our problem.
Look at who's coming on here now. We got big game James Coleman.
Oh, man, I keep forgetting I got my shirt on. Hold on, let me change my high school shirt. I'll be back. Keep talking.
James is running out Miami time where he runs a half an hour late to everything.
That's okay. We'll take him when we can get him.
That's Miami
and we will let James thought that was a wardrobe malfunction of sorts. I had no issue with it, but didn't want the high school shirt on. So
I think it was more the orange and green was what he was going at.
Didn't like that. Okay. All right. That was quick.
Wow.
James got that knocked out in a hurry.
Damn, James.
Well, I mean, when your home studio is in your bedroom, it helps.
Man, but I also like to point out you went with the Cobra Kai. All right, a little Cobra Kai action. There you go.
How do I adjust it? Oh, here we go. All right. All right.
James going with the Cobra Kai shirt today. There you go.
Love it. Sweep the leg.
Always. No mercy.
What did I miss?
James, talk to us about this new defensive back, KJ.
Very good safety. Coached by, it takes a know. Only a know can teach you how to be a know. So he's trained by my good friend DB Doctor, aka Mikhail Kornigy, former FSU special teams captain. And he's pretty physical. Can cover pretty well. If people go back and they look at Travis Hunter and the 7-on-7 circuit, he's one of the few guys who's actually been able to slow him down when he's been on the offensive side of the ball. So he's a 3-star, but he's a 3-star because he doesn't camp heavy and people are lazy. And I think some of these, I rank players like this. Obviously, there are some that are better than others. And when you see a true 5-star or a really high-ranking 4-star, there's something different about them. But I rank kids of can they play, do they fit in on college campus, or they don't? Are you D1 or are you not? And, kind of let the chips fall where they may from there. But I don't think this is a project-type kid. I think this is a kid who can come in and play. And I think it's just sad that we were in competition with Kentucky for him. I don't really know what to believe, how to feel about that. But I do know that Kentucky taking another safety probably helped solidify what we got. We want to recruit Jacksonville very heavy. That was one of the things that I know they've been talking about. And kudos to them. Now you go get big baby Jordan Hall from Westside High, and I think you've had a pretty solid haul from a hotbed. And I think that's all you can ask for.
And then you come down here from South Florida, you take some South Florida kids, you're good to go.
Get your Hakeem Williams.
I'll put my South Florida guys against your Jacksonville guys any day of the week, man.
I hear you.
Bring Mandarin down here. You guys don't want that smoke.
Oh, in 2 years we're gonna be like Bobby Bowden in the 80s.
Don't get that.
Anytime, anywhere, any place, because we got some cats. We got some studs, but that's really what's gonna be. It's kind of interesting because I know Miami's gonna always have talent. But the city of Tallahassee, in of itself, which Mark, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but we call it the Big Bend area. I've got multiple posters in my room in my mama's house of being an all Big Bend athlete from my sophomore year all the way through my senior year. It hasn't had this much talent since from, I would say, 2000 to 2005. And that's not me bragging about the time when I came through, but when I tell you, it's like we had so many guys go play Power 5 across the nation, and so many guys go to the NFL during those years that it's just insane. Even like a Rickards High School, which would be like they're just now getting good. I think they were like a 2-8 ball club, but they had 4 guys go to Louisville, and 2 of which Colby Smith, who is now a college coach, and William Gay, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers for many years, went on to the NFL. I actually saw William Gay a couple weeks ago when I was back home, and we chopped it up. But Tallahassee's going through a resurgence like that, and Jacksonville's got a really good talent like that coming up. And it was like that about 15 years ago when I first moved. And then we've had talent, but like right now it's about to be, really, really like we got kid James. 2 of them are on my team, but I say that to say we got some cats at Mandarin High School.
James,
I don't like their colors though.
No, your colors are horrible. But James, along those lines, you talk about the Tallahassee area, and let's just focus on Tallahassee for a moment. There's been, you're talking about guys like Crow Thorpe, who came to Florida State, came out of Tallahassee. Ernie Sims came from North Florida Christian in Tallahassee. Florida State's had big names. James Coleman from Florida High. Why aren't these guys going to Florida State anymore? You look at a guy like Rodney Harrison. Obviously he went to Alabama, but you talk about those guys from Rickards who are going to Louisville. Why is that?
I think a lot of it has to do with, like, so when I came up, it's how you sell it. Tallahassee was when I grew up in Tallahassee, it was an amazing town. FAMU was really, really good. They were competing. They were going deep in the FCS playoffs every year with Billy Joe and the original Gulf Coast offense. Quinn Gray went to the NFL. Jaquay Nunnally. So many guys that were like breaking. Like I think Jaquay Nunnally broke Jerry Rice's receptions record. It was hot. The FAMU Marshall 100 was in there peak hazing, which the band was on point when you did that. Don't do that, but I'm just saying the band sounded better then. And then you had Florida State during the dynasty era. You had Peter Ward, Snoop Menace, even guys like Lavernius Coles who got in trouble who weren't there. Like you had 4 wide receivers get drafted. Actually, excuse me, Zanquan Bolden was on that team. You had about 6 or 7 wide receivers off that 99 national championship team that went to the NFL. It was just so much fun to be in Tallahassee, and then you dream to be on that jumbotron. And I tell people it's very difficult now because like they're not that good. So if you go there and you suck, you can't go. Where are you going to go? Like if you're from Miami, you go back to Miami, they just rip you, but you can go back home. Like if you're from Tallahassee and you're not any good, where do you go? Like I was lucky, we were good, and I got a chance. But it's nothing like. And I try to tell these recruits, I can recruit Tallahassee. I can help my good kids. They just gotta let me go in and talk. I would challenge them. I'd be like, I get it. You're scared to suck in front of your friends instead of being inspired to be great. Because there is nothing in this world. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be the kicker. But when they come in and that guy says, and at fullback from Tallahassee, Florida, James Coleman. It doesn't matter. Everybody cheers. Everybody cheers the hometown kid. But there's things that come with being the hometown kid and a set of temptations that come with it too. A lot of people think of Tallahassee as just a sleepy town, but if you come and you see my book bag drops, we're going in the hood. And typically where a lot of good players are from. It's not like Miami where you're actually, Miami loves to be bombastic, but you're in Coral Gables. It's beautiful over there. Like you're a stone's throw away from Boca. Like, it's really nice. You ain't in Carroll City anymore. Like it's a huge city, so you can get away. You can somewhat get away from the element in which you grew up in. Tallahassee, the stadium is literally around the corner from where I grew up at in the projects. So I mean, those are things that you just gotta deal with. But you gotta be a different type of person, and I think. I can't fault a kid, but I can't challenge a kid. Georgia's built already, and all you're doing is maintaining it. So I get why they would want to go there. But to go to Florida State and have to be a part of a rebrand and a rebuild with a coaching staff that you're not 1,000% sure will be there, you literally have to do it for the love of your city and the love of the university. And I think what the university hasn't done, and to their defense, that's the byproduct of having the coach be there for 40 years, is they never did a good job of saying, defend your home, come represent the crib like Miami does and like other places. UCF is actually doing a pretty good job of it in Central Florida, but it just is what it is. I think we'll get it one day.
Let me ask you this, James. So Mike Norvell obviously couldn't do anything about the condition of the program when he took it over, not just from a facility standpoint and from a structural standpoint, but the vibe, the attitude, some of the negative stuff that was going on at that point. Can't do anything about COVID. He's hit with COVID in regards to the program and trying to relate to his players and, build a staff and build relationships and all that. Well, where would you rate, we can all look at the recruiting rankings, but you're not a big believer in that, but I am to a large extent. I think they play out. What has he done well? What has he not done well in recruiting? How should he attack recruiting differently than what you've seen?
I think he's doing very well now. I just think it's just, you don't have the newness. You don't have the new car smell like what Florida has and what Miami. You only get the benefit of the doubt once. And he had that, but we had COVID. And I made these comments, and this is why I tell people you have to be careful who you listen to. A lot of terms like to be thrown around like reputables. And the only thing that makes you reputable is that you've been around. It's not the fact that you earn anything in your title, or that you chase, you go around and you wait till 3:00 in the morning to hopefully see a little kid come out of somewhere so you can snap a picture of him. I question when they brought in this staff, who are the Florida guys? Now, yeah, all right, Ron Dugan's, Odell Ayton, fine. Who else? This is a really massive state. Like, this isn't Arkansas, like where you could drive you could just, if I drove from Jacksonville to Pensacola, right, and I took that same distance from just Pensacola going out west, I would cross 3 states. Like, if I go from Jacksonville, if I wanted to go see Jay Peasy, driving down that way. If I go up, I'll go Georgia. I'll go 3 states: Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. If I was overseas in Europe, I'd hit 3 countries. It's just, you can't recruit it in one state. And then it's 3 different types of places. Pensacola is basically Alabama. Nobody knows what the hell goes on over there. Like, not in football world. Like, I can tell you everything about Miami football in Jacksonville. We scouted because we know when we're going to the playoffs, that's what you want to see. We can't tell you about the team we're going to see in the 3rd round of the playoffs that's coming from the West. We forget that Pensacola is in Florida. It actually snows over there. It doesn't even make sense. It's a weird place. It is what it is. The Big Bend, Tallahassee area. Jacksonville, North Florida, way different. Central Florida, you get everything you want. You can get, Mouse World. You can get city folk. You can get country. Like, Polk County is very country. Then you have North Cuba, and that's it's a whole bunch of different languages and lingos, and you have to have people that can survive it.
I'm in North Cuba, right?
Yeah, you're in North Cuba.
Okay.
I'll say what Billy has done at the University of Florida and why he's having success is he's hired people that speak Florida. Mario Cristobal has done the same thing, even though he understands the culture, but he's done that. Mike came in with two guys and a bunch of other people that had zero ties to Florida, and even though I like I can't think of his name. He's at Oregon now, but I like Coach Lachlan, Carlos Lachlan. But you hired a director of high school recruiting who had no ties to Florida, and that's where you're at. So his biggest mistake coming in was he completely neglected the state, and everybody's like, "Well, this is that," and you got rid of a popular guy in Telly Lockett, and that kind of. And whether you want to believe what Luke said and all that other stuff, it ain't been easy. It hasn't. We haven't gone in and gotten the guys. We the benefit of the doubt here, you missed that. So now then you don't win. You go 3-6 with a soft schedule. You go 5-7 when you probably should have at least been 7-5. On again, a soft schedule is nowhere near as hard as what we thought it would be. And that's kind of why you're in where you're at now. But I will say is what Mike has done a good job of, and when you really go and you talk to these recruits right now, is he has done a job of communicating what he wants to do. Now, what he has to do is take it from what I want to do in year 3 and actually do it. And if he does it, then you'll see him recruit. Because I am not of the belief that we hit panic mode yet when it comes to recruiting. When I think about the guys that we are in it for, that I think we'll get, we get those guys. We're top 15 class. We're actually might be higher than top 15. We're 20 now. So that's what I think Mike has done a good job of, and he's done a good job of, maybe too good of a job of giving his assistants rope, and that helps in recruiting. The thing that Florida State has really hurt us is that you had so much turnover in staff that it's just hard to continue to recruit like that. You had Jimbo, and Jimbo leaves, you get a new OC, new DC. Tad comes in, first OC leaves to go take a job for less money to be a head coach at some school in the Northeast. And so they got to get a new OC. That new OC brings a new O-line coach with a different strategy. And you're constantly recruiting these guys. So now they've done a good job. He's got guys that are relatable. Coach Alex Atkins balances youth and credibility better than anybody I've ever seen. He's not an old coach. But he also commands the respect of his players. And he has an eye for talent. He's completely flipped that offensive line, bro. People can say what they want to say about Dugans, but Dugans is respected. I don't like a lot of people talk about him, but the kids like Dugans. I talk about Keem Williams and people. I talk to a couple of other people. The two names they bring up is Dugans and Mike Norvell. They don't bring up anybody else. Like, and that's why they get that. I tell people, like, if you want to fire Dugans so bad, just say you don't want these 3 5-star recruits that we have a really, really good chance of landing if we show a competent offense. So those are the things that I think Mike does. But his biggest weakness is his loyalty. Anybody else would have made changes to the DC and the OC, even though I think he was smart at keeping the DC. But the offense, and I like Kenny, but the offense has been pedestrian. And he's an offensive guy. So it makes absolutely no sense why this is happening.
And I'm going to give a little bit of credit to when Jimbo Fisher first came in. James hit the nail on the head. Jimbo Fisher first came in. Jimbo Fisher was not a guy from the state of Florida. He was a guy from West Virginia. But he surrounded himself with assistant coaches who knew the state of Florida. His defensive coordinator was a former defensive coach at the University of Miami. Eddie Graham, when he came in, was a former recruiter from the Miami area. DJ Elliott was a former recruiter from the Miami area. James Coley is from Miami and then went to Florida State. So you had all those guys in there. I guess that would just be my one issue. And I know I focus on South Florida. I get it. I understand it. And I know where Miami is at right now. I just wish there was more of a tie on the coaching staff or in the recruiting office, not just to South Florida, but like the Tampa and Orlando area. Look at all those great recruits from South Florida.
So, I think they do. You got Kewan Ratliff, who's big in the 707, who's there. Mm-hmm. I think where they missed, they hired Gerard Ross, and Gerard Ross was one of the pioneers because it feels weird because it's not that. Anyways, he was one of the original 7-on-7 gurus in the state of Florida. So, and they feel like a lot of the Miami guys know and respect them. Personally, this is what I would have went and did. If you, the argument is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And what I mean by that is, you look at the University of Louisville and how well they're recruiting. And look at two hires that they made this year. One was a guy by the name of John Heron, a.k.a. Hova, who's been at Florida for years. He was at Florida State for a year, and then went back to Florida. But he has got known South Florida ties. And they hired a good teammate of mine, Boosie, a.k.a. Stanford Samuels II. And now look at what they're actually in on, South Florida guys. I would have – Mike has the relationship, but I think he kind of got hindered a little bit because Boosie wanted to coach. And he didn't give him the on-field job because he didn't have any on-field experience. So he went to FAU to get it with Tag, and then him and Tag kind of fell out a little bit, and he needed to go on somewhere else. Whereas he could have probably given that to Stanford, as opposed, specifically when the one guy left to go to Texas A&M with Jimbo. He could have probably given that to Stanford and probably had at least similar results to what you had right now. But you would have a guy, not just a guy who has South Florida ties, a guy who understands the language of recruiting. And I think people are, even in this NIL space, people are really missing that fact that relationships matter. Money is a motivator. It will always be a motivator. But can I trust that you're going to do what you say? Look at these guys. These guys are saying, people like Ruiz is already retracting some of the stuff that he's going to give with money. Can I trust that it's going to be okay when you tell me? Yeah, you can tell me you can give me 6 figures. You can pledge 6 figures to me today. But are you going to really give me 6 figures, or am I going to get 15,000? And that's kind of where, and are you going to develop me to what my end goal is? The end goal for all of these guys at the end of the day is to get into the league. They have, I was about to say Paul Tagliabue. It just shows how I'm getting old, man. Roger Goodell. They have Roger Goodell call your name on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, and have your mom crying, and you kiss the girlfriend that probably won't be there in 3 years, but she's happy that she thinks she got paid too. Like, that's the end goal.
James, I'm curious about the last statement you made before Jason's question was about a pedestrian offense for Mike Norvell, and that's what he's known for. I instantly thought of Mike Riley, who had a really good run at Oregon State, went to the San Diego Chargers. They were okay. They were like 500 for 2 or 3 years before he got fired. But he went to Nebraska, and that didn't work for a lot of reasons. One of those reasons was he ran a West Coast offense. He inherited a quarterback in Tommy Armstrong that was basically a running back playing quarterback. Had a rocket for an arm, but had no idea where the ball was going. Couldn't read defenses. And Mike Riley's trying to run a West Coast offense when he needs, a Joe Montana type running this offense, and he's stuck with Tommy Armstrong, or he chose to stay with him, and he gets fired 4 years later, and he pretty much had Tommy Armstrong that entire stay. So who is the type quarterback that's going to excel in Mike Norvell's offense?
I think Mike's offense is catered. You got to have a quarterback. You have to have a pocket presence, but you have to be an athlete in today's game. I think the kid Luke Kronhall from out of Savannah is a perfect quarterback for Mike's offense. He's a good enough athlete. He's tough, but he's not a run-first guy. Jordan Travis is a run-first guy because out of necessity for the last few years. And that's the unfortunate thing of having to play early and having to play behind bad offensive lines. You build traits that you just can't get rid of. And I think, that's where that comes from. But what Mike needs is wide receivers that can separate. And that's really what you need for any quarterback, because his offense is even with the pocket presence guy, is very RPO driven. So you still want to make sure you have the run, but he doesn't really want the quarterback running. He wants the quarterback distributing the ball like a point guard almost. And when you look at just look at the NFC East, for example. He's got 4 running backs that come out of his tree, but one of them wasn't really a running back. He was like a hybrid wide receiver. And then 2 of them were actually 2 were hybrid type wide receivers, 2 were actual running backs. So that's kind of what, I look to see. And I think Jordan Travis just gives them a different element because of how athletic he is. But I think he would much rather a guy who was a threat with his eyes and throwing the ball and booming the ball down the field. And I think we haven't had the opportunity to see that because I don't think our line has been good enough. But I also think, Trav hasn't really been disciplined enough to be able to stay there and do what he needed to do.
Jason,
can I speak to that one comment that you put up there? As an outsider, like I said, as an outsider, we don't know who the court. Like, I cover football for a living. That's the only reason I know who the coordinators are at a lot of schools. And there's internet now, there's all kinds of stuff. If you knew who Mickey Andrews was because Mickey Andrews coached probably almost your entire life. Mickey Andrews my entire life. Mickey Andrews got there in '84. I was born in 1984. That's why you knew who Mickey. I promise you, outside of Mark Richt, you do not know who the offensive coordinator was before Mark Richt for the national team. You do, Jason, but he doesn't. I promise you don't know who the guy was before that, but he was the Clemson's head coach. Like, y'all got to stop with this stuff, man. Because if you can Google that, which you probably will, you know what else you can do? You can Google who the hell the offensive coordinator is now, because I can tell you who the offensive coordinator was last year. He's Oregon's current offensive coordinator. I can tell you who the offensive coordinator before that was. He's currently Arkansas's offensive coordinator. I can tell you who the coordinator was before that. He's currently Indiana's offensive coordinator. I can tell you. I can do this for days. The thing is it's a half-sided troll but you know who they are. Kendall. If you don't know who Kendall Browse is, that means you haven't watched football. The Browse name is synonymous with offense and rape. Those are the 2 things, the only 2 things you can find right now with the Browse name. And I'm sorry, it's anyways. My bad. I'm sorry. I just had to comment on that.
James shows violence.
Hey, that's what I think of too. Absolutely.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but damn, James.
No, I'm just saying, like, come on, like, let's be real. It's the most, like, no matter how bad Florida State is, I'll even go with the big 3: Florida State, Miami, and Florida. No matter how bad they are, college football still revolves. Still, like, it's still there. It's still the talk. You know who these people are. I don't know. Is that in Nebraska? I can tell you who I don't know. I know who Scott Frost is. I don't know anybody. Like, I don't know Nebraska's offensive coordinator because they stink. And Nebraska hasn't been good since John Vilma almost killed their Heisman candidate quarterback and the tight end in back-to-back plays.
They just got a good offensive coordinator from Pitt. He was Kenny Pickett's OC.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I know
a new one.
But by the way,
my guy from my bad. So I do know. See, when you say it, I do. He was the UMass coach. He built UMass when they won their national championship, and he was Randy Shannon. He was Randy Shannon's OC. Yep. Yeah, he's a good OC.
But by the way, it was Brad Scott who was our offensive coordinator before Mark Richt.
I know.
I just had to for the fans. The fans, they don't.
He also was at South Carolina, right? Brad
exactly. Scott. He was a guy who he went to Clemson. He got a job as a head coach. Like, that's you. I mean, but he wasn't. Anyways, it's just you know who Bob. Everybody knows Bobby and everybody knows Mickey. If you know the offensive coordinators like that, you're just an offense. You're a college football savant or an FSU fan. Like, that's the only one.
Is it that time?
Well, Jason, before it's that time, it's the other time. The other time would be you suing Logan to have everyone.
Isn't it Logan's birthday today?
Yeah, that's why he's getting drunk right now. So
happy birthday.
Hit the like button. Make sure to hit the like button.
There you go. Okay. Jason, you could also encourage everyone to jump on Discord.
No, that's not happening. Well. That's not happening. You know my rule against that word. It's fine.
All right. I guess it's my time to host and be the MC for Jason's Hot Takes.
Number 9.
Number 9.
James, how many times in the history of the ACC championship game has there been a rematch? where teams have played each other multiple times? There's a number.
Those are two different questions.
No.
Are you talking about a rematch? You're talking about playing multiple times?
Playing multiple times against each other.
In the same year?
No. Just no. In all time. And since 2005, the first ACC.
Twice.
You think it's happened twice?
Yeah,
Clemson played a different team just about every year. Yeah, during their run, they played a different team every time.
Clemson's actually played one team. So it's happened 4 times. Florida State has played Virginia Tech twice. Florida State has played Georgia Tech twice.
Right. I was going to answer those, Jason. Give me a little bit of time.
I apologize.
Keep going.
Virginia Tech played Boston College in back-to-back seasons.
Okay.
And Clemson played Virginia Tech twice in 2011 and 2016. So Virginia Tech's been involved in 3 of them. There will be a 5th rematch this year because in a rematch of the 2015 title game, Clemson will win the Atlantic Division, and from the Coastal Division, forget what the experts say, MFTE, mother F them experts, go with North Carolina. I think when Clemson plays North Carolina in the 2022 ACC Championship game presented by Subway. Eat fresh.
Is that really who? That's not the sponsor.
Yes, it's Subway. Yes. That's why we need to get out of this conference. That's reason number 12 why we need to leave the ACC. Yes. Yes. I mean, when you think of crappy food, you think of a crappy conference. It works out. It actually makes a lot of sense. But yes, for the second time, Clemson will play North Carolina in the ACC Championship game. First time since 2015 when Clemson won in a defensive slugfest 45-37.
In a game that had a controversial finish because there was an onside kick by North Carolina in which there was a penalty called against them that shouldn't have been called, and they should have retained possession of the ball because they recovered it and would have had a chance to pull off the upset against an undefeated Clemson team.
Well, Clemson got theirs and losing to Alabama in the title game that season, so it worked out for everyone. Next week, though, in our final hot take before the regular season, find out why it will be another sad year for the ACC. You'll find out why next week.
I'm guessing no one's making the playoff.
Who knows?
Well, the playoffs about to separate from the NCAA anyway.
Hopefully, we'll be in the Big Ten by that point, so you never know.
Real quick, Mark, I know you would know. And I'm sorry. Is it true that Notre Dame just signed a new deal? Oh, I guess you would know, JP, too. Is it true that Notre Dame just signed a $60 million deal per year with NBC?
Let's just say that things could. We can't talk about it yet, but let's just say things could be happening very soon. That involves Notre Dame finally getting off the pot, if you will.
Oh wow! Oh, cool.
So things could be moving rapidly. And like we've said, I think the Big Ten just wants to see teams like Florida State, teams like Miami do better. So if we can have a much better season, I think we could be easing on down the road, for lack of a better term. By the way, also before we go, and I know this is something for James because James played under this man. For those of you who pray, or for those of you who believe, send up a prayer for Billy Sexton, former running back coach. He was James's running back coach at Florida State. Was there at Florida State when my parents were there back in the day. He suffered a stroke yesterday, and who knows what's going to happen. So
he's actually doing pretty good, but you still 24 to 48 hours is what I was told. You got to watch, but he had some brain bleeds, and so just speedy recovery.
Yep.
Quirky guy, good man. It's almost a year, just a little bit over a year since the old man passed. So it was a little rough today to find out that news. Again, like Jason said, that guy gave me a chance when he didn't have to. When I didn't do what I was supposed to do academically, and they waited, and I gave him. And all I ever asked is for somebody to give me an opportunity. He gave me an opportunity, and I did what I needed to do, but he didn't even have to do what he did for me. And it was, like I said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that guy. So I hope Coach Sexton gets strong. And like I said, if you pray, go ahead and toss one up for the old man.
And look at you. Now your work with him has led you to working with me and Mark. I mean, this is the moments you achieve in life. I mean, this is where we're at.
This is the culmination of James' dearest dreams that he, aspired to.
When I was 17 years old, I said that, yes, I want to be on Mark Rogers.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
We all did. Guys, next week we get to preview a football game. I don't care if it's Duquesne. We get to preview a football game.
It is Duquesne. We'll see what the point spread is on that one. And since I do honor all these super chats, of course, Doc and Rack says, you, very clever here, you would like to be in the preseason top 25.
Well, you won't be in the top 25 after Texas A&M waxes you, so, enjoy it while you can.
And I got to say, Jason, I disagree with you. I don't think it really matters what Miami and Florida State do this year on the football field. They are commodities that should be sought after by the Big Ten.
I agree with you on that, but I think the better your football team does, you have to show that promise. Yeah. You just have to prove it that way. So,
yeah. Doesn't hurt.
No.
Big Game James, what do people need to know about what you've got going on?
I got some cool stuff. I have my virtual STEM camp starting this weekend coming up. I mean, I guess you can't sign up. We got 40 kids that are going to learn about sports and science, technology, engineering, and math. So that's a cool thing. It's just if you go to MFTKFoundation.com or JamesColemanGivesBack.com. You can go check out all my initiatives. We fundraise year round. The book bag drive we just did is the big one, but we like to do camps on food drives. We're trying to do something where we can set people up. $36 a month. I hate doing it because it sounds like the little thing that people used to do back in the day. But for $36 a month, we're trying to fundraise year round. If we can get 200 people to do that, that'd be amazing from a fundraising perspective. And then, fifth quarter in Micanopy 1851. We talked about it last week. We landed some big deals. I believe we have 77 athletes onboarded, and just stay tuned for some of the news. Like, we're coming for HBCUs, we're coming for different things. I mean, this name, image, and likeness landscape has been covered extremely irresponsibly to strike fear. And it's really just a good day. And a lot of these young men and women, I want to emphasize women, all they want to do is make a couple extra $100 so that their college experience can be a little bit different. And there are national brands that are trying to link with the right guys, but there's just people. There are sharks out there, but there are people who are just too lazy to do the homework, and go out here and reach it. But me and my business partner Mike Underwood are going to come out, and we're going to change the way athletes get treated and approach business. This is a business. Everybody's in it for business. It's time for athletes to be able to make their fair share. And you can still have your fun and amateurism, because trust me, dealing with these kids, they really don't want to have $1 million deals and what comes with it. They want to play sports, but they also want to not have to worry about it. There's a kid who I just got a text from, who I got some stuff for him, but he's the reigning FCS Defensive Player of the Year. And he's talking about eviction while he's training for fall camp, because his scholarship money isn't enough to cover, and he can't work. He would work, but he can't work. So, so we're going to match brands and match alumni with their favorite universities, and try to see if we can't help ease some of these kids' burden. So that's just what I'm doing, man. A lot of stuff, a lot of same old. All I can tell you is click the link. If you click the link, that's all I ask. If you click the link, that's going to help support something. So
Spans Foundation is MFTK Foundation. I just want to throw that out there. It's a phenomenal name for foundation.
Mentors for the kids.
Oh, yeah, that's what it means. Got it. Okay, cool.
Jason, NBC6. Jason, get those negotiations with Notre Dame wrapped up. Can you get on that?
If we can get on this, we can do multiple shows. We can do tie-ins. We'll bring you on. You'll be our Mike Florio of the group. That's how we'll do this, sir.
Okay. FSU Live, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday at 6. James, Jason, you guys make this happen. Thanks for being here.